to present to you Realtor Rodney. Guys, just so you know, Rodney is best known for his work centered around helping sellers and agents get listed, selling their homes, and also learning the best strategies necessary to excel in the real estate industry. And he does this by providing like personalized buyer seller services. So we are excited. We are extremely excited for Mr. Rodney Jackson to come aboard. So hopefully he was here, and no, he's not. Oh, okay. So, so hopefully we will be able to get him aboard in just a few minutes. But yeah, so tonight, we're definitely, like I told you earlier, we're going to talk about real estate, but we're more or less going to kind of key in on, those qualities which generally create the best candidates for real estate. Because I think what happens is it has become a fad. Real estate has become a fad, and we're at a place now where, you really got to be careful. On the news, you'll see a lot of individuals who are being scammed by mortgage companies and by real estate moguls and professionals. And so I think it's amazing to have somebody who can come on and actually have a conscious conversation with us about real estate. And so we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so just kind of talking about real estate, and we are going to try, and we got him in. Yes, we did. He is here. Absolutely. So, Mr. Jackson, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Look, I'm just over here talking about you, and I'm telling the people all about, your buyer seller services. But give us a little bit of the background on who Rodney Jackson is, and then let's just dive right in and talk about real estate.
Okay. Well, I've been in business now almost 42 years. I started back in the Stone Ages when agents.
You ready to say so? Did you start at about 5 years old? Maybe you about 5 or 6 when you started.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I got started back in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And my parents actually indirectly inspired me to go into real estate.
Okay.
My parents owned property, and I saw the lifestyle that they were able to provide for us, the family.
Understand.
And I thought, when I was 17 years old, I thought, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to have extra money. I want to be able to have a lifestyle. And so I knew at 17 I'd be in real estate one way or the other.
Wow.
And I bought my first home when I was 21 years old. It was a duplex in Milwaukee. It was raggedy, but it was mine.
It was your, that's it. You know what? If you don't say anything else, you just spoke a word right there. That was something that, our parents taught us. You need to own something, right?
Right.
You need to own something. And the thing about it is, we own something, and then we want to trade that in for something better versus maintaining what we have and letting it build equity and letting it work for us. So I'm with you. I'm with you all the way.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And
no, you go ahead and keep talking, because I got questions, but I like the raw information.
Okay, so I've been licensed in 6 states: Wisconsin, Colorado, California, Texas, Florida, and now I live in Arizona. And the business has been amazing. So the one thing that I'm trying to teach or getting involved in right now is coaching agents how to make over $1 million a year in income and to sell 100 homes or more a year. Because I've been able.
Wow.
I've been able to do that.
Okay, let's pause for a minute. Before we even go there, Mr. Jackson, real estate has now become a fad, right?
Mhm.
And I'm so honored to host you because this is a really important question for myself and my viewers. What qualities do you believe make up an effective real estate professional?
Persistence and consistency.
Mm,
Uh, you've got to know how to prospect. Well, here's the thing with me. Back when I first got into the business, there wasn't coaching because this is before the internet. 40 years ago. So now there's coaching involved, and so you have to learn how to prospect for business. And
okay, okay.
in that prospecting for business, whether you're going to be cold calling, whether you're going to be door knocking, whether you're going to be farming neighborhoods, you have to be consistent with it and persistent. You can't let, for example, in Texas, when I was walking neighborhoods, I'd walk 5,000 homes every 1.5 months or so. So I'd walk 200 houses a day, handing out my flyers. And in Texas in the summertime, it gets a little hot.
Oh, I
And,
know. Indeed.
and I didn't care. There was money to be had. I was able to look at my numbers as time went on. And I knew that from every 200 flyers I passed out, I was going to get a listing. And it took me basically the course of a day to walk 200 houses. So I knew I was going to get, I think it was 400 houses. I knew I was going to get a listing. And so it wound up being a thing where I was able to close 100 deals and make good money. And, back then, especially when I started doing the prospecting where I was walking neighborhoods, it was going back to like 1998. And back then, I got an award with Remax at the time for earning $1 million in 3 years. And we're going back now 25 years ago. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that was really good money today, and it was really good money back then.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And it gave lifestyle.
So what does that look like, though? Because, okay, persistence and consistency,
Mm-hmm.
those two things definitely go hand in hand. I think we have persistent people when they want something, but they're not consistently persistent.
Right.
And like you said, you're going to run into a problem. But relative to your ability to build relationships, and being able to do this, because realistically, a lot of people don't have that customer service professional background because they're doing this all day.
Right.
Can you speak to us about the importance of that guerrilla marketing?
Well, what I do is it's purposeful. So when I get up in the morning, I know what I have to do, especially when I was walking neighborhoods. Now I'm at a point where I don't have to walk anymore. I can just mail them out because I got that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
But when I was broke
Right.
and trying to get the business off the ground, it was very effective. It was very cost effective for me.
Okay.
And so every day, Monday through Friday, I knew I had to walk 200 homes a day. And I did that just like it was a listing appointment or a buyer appointment. I made that appointment every day. And if you don't do that, you're kidding yourself. You're not going to make the money. And so once again, no matter how the weather was, I was out there doing it. And it was so simple because I wasn't really knocking doors or having to talk to anybody. I was just simply leaving a flyer inside their front, tape it to their door. As time went on, people would see me walking the neighborhood. They would see my signs, and all my signs had my picture, my smiley face picture on it. And people would actually stop and have conversations with me about real estate.
Okay.
And so I became the household name, bigger than Century 21 or Remax or any of those companies at that time, because they saw me, they saw my signs, and I became the #1 agent in that area. And it was just out there, and it was so cheap to do it. I bought myself a printer, and everybody's got a printer these days, right?
Yeah.
And I just manufactured I'm gonna call it a crappy little newsletter that was very effective because it was geared toward that neighborhood. And so it wasn't like I was doing a generic newsletter. I made it specific for what's happening as far as real estate sales, as far as the market trends. And so I positioned myself on purpose to be the neighborhood guru. And that's what wound up happening. I do this, and I follow the same format today. I am the biggest name in real estate in my area, bigger than Realty One. If you ask people to name the top 3 realtors in my marketplace, I promise you my name is going to be right there.
Amazing. Amazing. And you know what? You have to be a man of integrity. So we're going to throw integrity on that list of qualities you need to be an effective real estate professional. I can just tell that you are an individual of integrity. Guys, if you're just checking in, it's consulting time. And this is the $1 Million Real Estate Coach, Rodney Jackson. And guys, one of the things that I think is so important is that Rodney is helping families turn houses into homes, but not just any home, their dream homes. Their dream homes. So speak to what that phrase means to you. Make a house into a home.
You know, I always talk to clients and we get them pre-qualified, and I talk to them about their dream list. Of course, we all have our must-haves, right?
Yes.
And then I say, and my next question would be, well, if you found your dream home, what would it look like? And so they start talking to me about, well, this, and this. And so, of course, I get my buyers pre-qualified first because I got to know that you can buy a house before you get in my car.
Yes.
So, and what I do with that information is that I start to scan for homes that would fit their dream list. You know, of course, it's going to fit the basic criteria, but then I try to push it and try to get as many of their dream wishes on that list as well.
Wow.
And then what I also do is I start from the lowest price point and go up for them, so they feel like they're getting a bargain with me, right? So I don't say, well, okay, here's 10 houses. Let's see the most expensive house first, especially if you're a first-time buyer, because first-time home buyers are very price conscious. Most of them are just barely scraping it together to get into their first homes, right? Yep. So you have to kind of think, and I have to go back to when I was a first-time home buyer many, many years ago. When I was just, I had to borrow money to buy my first house. And look, here's the killer. Back then in 1979, I only needed $2,100 to buy my first house. I didn't have it.
Wow. And you know what?
I use my credit. You see, you can't do this today, but I put part of my down payment on my credit card. I got a rent credit and a security deposit credit from the tenant that was in the house already, because it was a duplex and you could do that. You can do that part today as well. I went to the home seller rather, and she gave me a second loan for like $600 so finally we pulled together the $2,100 that we needed to buy the house. So it was so I always have to go back to that point. One of the most fulfilling parts of any buying process with especially a first-time home buyer is the sheer joy when they close on that loan. You know, you'll see home buyers in tears because they thought they could never own a property. You know, it becomes almost like a legacy thing for them that they can pass that down should they choose to do so and keep the house, long term. I know for me, where I'm at today, the properties that I have are right here in my neighborhood, and they're all vacation rentals. And I'm not going to sell anything. I'm going to keep it till I'm dead, because it's income. It's income, and I think people kind of forget that if you're able to hold on to the first house and buy your second house, that first house becomes like legacy money. Because here's what happens. That first house, if you rent it, will normally pay for all the mortgage payment or a major chunk of it. But here's the key. As long as it can pay for almost all of it, if not all of it, and maybe even cash flow, and let's say the house is worth $300,000. By today's money, you would have $300,000 in a savings account. And what I mean by that is that tenant is paying that mortgage, and you're paying nothing to get $300,000. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So if you have a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage, that person is paying off that mortgage for you. And by today's standards, you would have $300,000. But by the time the mortgage is paid off, it's probably going to be worth in future dollars, maybe $600,000-$700,000.
Indeed.
And how much did you put in to make $700,000? Not a whole lot, right? Because what happened? The tenant paid the rent. They paid the mortgage, and so you try to hang on to your properties, rather than just trying to sell them. You try to hang on. There's a young couple. They're personal friends of mine. They live in California. Everything in Southern California is ridiculous. If I remember correctly, their townhouse now is worth about $700,000. 1,200 or 1,400 square feet of space. It's small. And so they're smart. So they are determined to hang on to that townhouse and buy a house for themselves as a young family now, because they understand that by today's standards, that $700,000 that the rent can take care of, right? And so they don't have to put much money down ever to hang on to that house, because the rent's going to take care of it.
Wow. It's so interesting. My significant other and I, we were talking about this the other day, and he said, you know what? Yeah, real estate is the way to go. And it's funny when you were talking about your parents own some properties. And I was sitting here thinking, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Mom and Dad had another house, but you know how it is in a lot of families. You have those family members that always fall on hard times and need somewhere to stay. And I will never forget, now I'm replaying the conversations, because when we were young, you stay out of grown folks' business. But I can hear my mother saying, you're going to start charging your sister some rent to live in that house.
Right.
So now I'm like, you know what? We did have another house. Yeah. So definitely understand. Definitely understand it. So, okay, what are some of the most significant resources that buyers should be using then? Like,
when you say resources,
what are some of the tips, like relative to, so how would someone find a person like you if they weren't familiar with you?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
And a lot of people don't know, and I told you, now think about it. Think about where we're going with this. When I scroll my social media feed, everybody on here is a celebrity realtor, a celebrity toilet bowl, a celebrity push broom operator. I mean, I have never seen so many celebrities this and that. So, how would someone find you in their market, and what markets are you able to support individuals in?
Okay, so I personally do the West Valley in the greater Phoenix area. The city's actually called Goodyear. So that's where I'm at. And, the way that people found me was I was always from prospecting. So I never waited for people to call me, because that wasn't going to make me much money. So now that doesn't really answer your question the way that you want me to, but that's how people found me, was because I was marketing myself to people. Understood. Right?
Understood.
Now, if just a home buyer didn't know who to turn to, for example, then you might want to ask your parents or your uncle or some friend that bought a house, for, how was your experience with the realtor that you used, and get a reference from that person to then, have a conversation with that agent yourself to see if that agent, matches up with the things that you want to accomplish. But you got to look for referrals, which is going to be the best way to do that when you know nobody. Just ask people who who have bought homes.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. I mean, guys, I don't know, if you're just checking in, how long you've been listening, but you want to check out Rodney Jackson. He is definitely an amazing resource, wealth of information. And one of the things that I want to, as we begin to wrap up, when I was reading about you, I read a statement that said, according to the National Association of Realtors, more than 156,000 people got their real estate license from 2020 to 2021. And that was like a 60% increase over the 2 years prior. And so when you think about that and you reflect on, your journey and your professional development, how do you feel that is impacting, the real estate profession?
What's interesting is that you look at all the statistics. In 5 years of an agent getting his license or her license, 95% of the people who got their licenses 5 years ago are no longer in the business.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, they thought, they see us driving these big cars, having these big homes. True story. I was in Texas making bank, like $300,000 a year back in 1999, and I'm sorry, that was back in '06, and I knew I was going to be leaving Texas and going to Florida, and so I was going to pass on my business to one of my then sales associates. And they saw how I lived. They saw the vacations we took. They saw the house that we lived in. They saw the big champagne-colored Mercedes we drove around town in. They saw all this, right? And they wanted to be that superstar real estate agent. I said, here's all you have to do. You know what I do? I walk my neighborhoods. You can keep my picture on the flyer, even though I'll be long gone. You can add your picture to the flyer as an introductory that you're taking my place, whatever. Once the business takes off, you can take my name, for that other agent. Once your business takes off for yourself, you can take my picture off, and then you can keep all the money yourself. Do you know they did nothing with that information? And they saw firsthand how we rolled. So, so when people tell me they want to make a lot of money in real estate, this is not a game. This is not a business for the weak. You gotta be out there making it happen. It's not going to happen for you. It's not. If you're not out there shaking hands, passing out cards, prospecting some kind of way every day, 5 days a week, it's not going to happen. And you can't. And this is not a part-time business. Some people say, well, I must try it out part-time and see how it works. Well, no, it's not going to happen. You can't have a full-time job and make money in real estate. You might make a sale here and there, but you will never make the big bucks because this business just requires that kind of time. And absolutely. Because I'm more of a listing agent now than a buyer's agent, I have more control of my time. So, I don't work weekends much. Unless I feel like I want to work a weekend, which I don't. I work a Monday through Friday time frame because when you control the listings, you're not out there showing just anybody anything whenever they call you.
Understood.
So it's how you build a strong foundation for your business. And after 42 years of being in this business, come this October, I still am energized about this business. I still love this business. I still look forward to getting up every day, and life is good.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And Mr. Jackson, I really, first and foremost, want to thank you for coming aboard. And what I'm going to do, guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Jackson, what I want you to do, I want you to drop them in my DM, and we are going to make sure that we get you direct answers. We will do our hardest to get you those answers. Mr. Jackson, let everybody know how they can, contact you on your socials, or even if you want to provide an email so that people can get in contact with you.
So my email is rodney@themilliondollaragent.net. And my website that my team is working on right now, you can see rough screen of it at this point is called the milliondollaragent.net. So the email is Rodney at milliondollaragent.net, or my website, themilliondollaragent.net.
All right. So we're going to put that up there. So guys, make sure, and listen, make sure if you're outreaching, Mr. Jackson, that you're outreaching with a purpose. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much for saying that.
Listen, because we already know. We already know. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Jackson, you know what? Thank you so much for coming aboard.